You're listening to the Drummer Daily Podcast, the only daily podcast dedicated just to drummers. Go to my website at danielhadaway.com. Hey, how's it going? I hope you're doing well. I have had a great day today. It's been a busy past few days for me. I had, so we had a rehearsal for All Sons and Daughters for our upcoming tour on Thursday. Which is I'll stop talking in days of the week because I realize not everyone listens to this the day I record it. So about 4 or 5 days ago, before the weekend, I had a rehearsal with All Sons and Daughters for tour, and then on Friday went back to the same studio where we rehearsed and had a session. And I talked about that, I think, on that day on Friday. And then Saturday we had a show with All Sons and Daughters, so we traveled up to Illinois. Played a show, drove back yesterday, which would be Sunday, and got back in the middle of the day, and then today had another rehearsal with All Sons and Daughters for the tour, and that's been great. It's been a lot of fun to go through these new songs and really kind of nitpick those and find what works and what doesn't work, and get a chance to play a lot of new songs all at once, which is always fun. And also, it can be really really tiring to focus that long. It's almost like playing a session when you have to pay attention and put your energy into songs. You might play them over and over again, but you still have to kind of focus and make sure that you're paying attention to what you're playing and listening to yourself and all kinds of stuff. So maybe I'll talk about that someday, about rehearsing. And then right now I am sweating and my mouth is on fire because I just finished eating some Thai curry. And man, I told them to give me a 2 spice, which they always they do like the 1 through 5 on the spice level. I think these people were like getting done for the day and decided they wanted to empty out their spice bucket or whatever the stuff is they put in there, because it was really hot for a 2. So my wife and I were down there eating and like we were crying, or my lips look like she says, like, you look like your lips are swollen. I'm like, they probably are. So anyway, that's what's happening with me. Also, I think that they should, like, here's the thing, here's what I don't get. Why does curry retain heat so well? Like, I feel like that, and if you've ever been up to Canada, Tim Hortons coffee, those things stay hot for forever. My thought is they should just fill the walls of houses with Thai curry and Tim Hortons coffee, and they'd stay insulated much better than the insulation we have here. So that's my idea. You can take that and run with that if you want to have a business idea. Okay, so anyway, all that to say, I've talked for a long time and didn't share anything about drumming. So now, here we go. Today, I want to talk to you. I mentioned I posted a video earlier today, and so what was I going to talk about? Oh man. Oh yeah. So today, I thought this week would be kind of fun to talk about a few things that in principle sound counterintuitive. And so my first one I want to talk about today is why you should always repeat your mistakes. And so this is something that I learned. I think I learned this back once again from my fabled high school drum teacher. But the thing about being a drummer when you're by yourself in a band and you make a mistake, the cool thing about being a drummer is you're most likely the only person playing a rhythmic instrument. You're definitely, unless you're like in Santana, you're the only drummer on stage. So you're playing the drums, and let's say you're playing along and you make a mistake and you play something on a weird beat or whatever. Well, my little secret trick that I like to do whenever that happens is I kind of make a mental note of where that happened, in a 4-bar phrase or whatever, and then the next time it comes around, unless it's just really distracting, or maybe if it was really distracting, I'll just do it again. And all of a sudden, someone who is really confused and distracted by it the first time is like, oh, it's okay, he meant to do that, and you can kind of play it off like you meant to do it. Like I said, this doesn't always work. If you break a cymbal or do something just completely inappropriate, you probably shouldn't repeat it. But it works for most kind of mistakes that we make. You can just repeat your mistake, and everyone thinks you meant to do it. They might not think you made a great choice or picked a great part to play, but no one thinks you're over there, messing up or aren't a competent drummer. So use that at your own risk. But I will say that one thing about this tip is that it requires a certain level of constant awareness of what you're playing. You can't be playing on autopilot and be able and then make a mistake and then be able to repeat that mistake, because you're not going to remember exactly what you did. You may not realize exactly where it was happening in a phrase. There's a million of things that are going on that play into a perfect mistake, that play into a perfect repeatable mistake, that you need to be aware of in order to be able to repeat it. And so, that once again, I think so many things with drumming that can contribute to you being a really great drummer are things that come about when you are a big fan of music in general. Instead of just being a fan of drumming and hitting the drums and all these rhythms and stuff, if you're a fan of music, or you can become a fan of music and of songs and of lyrics and melodies, then all of these things about focusing on where in the phrase your hits are landing, or even dynamics and sensitivity, those kinds of things, those all become so much easier if you can, at a more higher 10,000 foot level, looking down on a song, understand more about what's going on and understand how you're fitting into contributing to that song, instead of just thinking about how cool the rhythm you're playing is. Because you can come up with a lot, and that's a big source for me, at least, of creativity as well, is when understanding a song, and understanding its structure and the kind of the more esoteric parts of a song. So anyway, I want to encourage you today, if you make a mistake, just pay attention to it and maybe do it again. In some situations, it doesn't really matter if you make a mistake. It's not so much as it doesn't matter if everyone knows you made a mistake in more casual settings. But there are times when it can, when repeating your mistake and making it look like you meant to do that, can be really beneficial. And you know what? It just hit me. The reason why my drum teacher in high school in drumline taught me this was, it was when I was in the pit. And so, in marching band, there's the guys marching around. My freshman year, I wasn't marching around the field. I was one of those people in the front of the field, close to the front during a marching band, halftime show, playing the bells, or I had a big gong that I played or whatever. And a secret of marching band is that the judges who are judging in competitions, they don't have sheet music. So they don't know what you're supposed to be playing. And so when I was playing the gong, for example, doing these big cymbal swells, I pretty much I had to pick the right moments as long as they trusted me to do it. But it wasn't you hit a swell where you weren't supposed to. As long as it wasn't inappropriate, I could get away with it. But she drilled it into all of us in the pit, who were the only one playing our instrument. Obviously, you can't do this when you're playing snare and there's 10 other guys or whatever playing the same thing as you. But when you're in the pit, if you make a mistake one time, the judge who's watching you with a tape recorder, noting everything you do wrong, is going to notice that one thing you didn't fit with the rest of everything else. And he's going to say, oh, that's obviously a mistake. He didn't have sheet music to know for sure, but that's obviously a mistake. So he will mark off for that. But if you do that same mistake again, he'll think, oh, that was a weird choice, weird writing of that song, but he can't mark off for it because he doesn't know if it was written in or not. So if you're ever going to a band competition, there's a tip for you. But I realized that actually translated really well into everyday drumming, drum set playing, which also probably is what gave me the awareness when I was playing drums. Having to be that aware when I was playing in marching band is what probably gave me the awareness when I wasn't playing in marching band. I was playing normal drums. So anyway, that's where that came from. And that's a little out of order, but I hope that tip helps you. Repeat your mistakes. Not always a bad thing. In the rest of life, it's probably a bad thing to repeat your mistakes. But in drumming, maybe it's not. All right, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.